One of yesterday's top stories was the announcement of Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo to not seek re-election. After 2 terms, the judge has decided to step away from politics, at least for the next election cycle. So with us to shed some light on her decision-making process and what she plans for the remainder of her term is Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo. If you'd like to join the conversation, call or text us 713-440-8870. Judge, welcome back to Hello Houston.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're glad you're here. And my first question is, what tipped the scales? I know last time we talked, you were trying to make this decision, and you made it. So what really went into it?
Well, I can't say it was any one moment. It was basically me wrestling with my commitment that I made and was, very much public from the moment I got into office, that I would only seek 2 terms, and my real belief that this is, in every executive position, needs turnover and fresh perspective. So that was on the one hand. On the other hand, the county is going through really challenging, certainly not seen in recent memory, financial situations, really worrisome fiscal decisions, and of course, it's a tough time politically. And so ultimately what I realized is, look, I cannot be so arrogant as to think of myself as indispensable. And I will be of more help to the cause, to progress, by giving somebody else an opportunity to do this, taking some space for myself, and being real strategic about my next move.
I know that there has been a lot of contentious meetings with the county of recent time. Did that play into this decision? I know what you've just said, and I know about the 2-term commitment. But I'm curious: had things been a little more copacetic, a little calmer in the county, might you have decided to go for a 3rd term, or was that not really going to be at play?
It was not in play. I would say if it was at all, in the periphery, it would have been on the side of running again. There's something that, I've learned more and more about myself, and I think it's very clear to the community, is that I'm really energized by a fight. And in terms of, when it's on behalf of the people, when it's on behalf of what I believe is the truth, the ethical thing to do. And so, whether that was not shrinking away from the conversation when former district attorney came for my staff under trumped up charges. Normally people say, the truth will prevail. And I was like, oh no, I am keeping those folks on staff, and I'm talking about this. And ultimately, of course, far right standard bearer can pass and dismiss the cases, whether it be during COVID, whether it be advocating at the federal level. And now,
Judge, I'm going to pause you here for 1 second and see if maybe your phone tightens up a little bit. We got a little bit of interference there. Can you try again? Speak to us again for a second.
Yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, now you sound much better again. Okay. Continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to make sure the audience could hear you.
Okay, well, I was just saying that, if anything, I get really energized when I feel that I have a role to play in a fight for something important. And, of course, right now, the county budget is in a very, very problematic situation. But then I said, you know what, I think that I've set the tone for whoever succeeds me to hopefully take that same mantle of trying to be really transparent and explain to the community what's going on so they can hold us accountable, as opposed to trying to play the game of, sort of letting this greed for staying in office drive every decision.
Right. And, Judge Hidalgo, your current term expires in December of 2026. Will this decision affect how you will lead until your term ends?
I don't think so. It remains to be seen how it will affect what the sort of environment, political environment, approach is towards me, right? I mean, if folks ask us, like, do you think that it'll be less contentious? Do you think it'll be more contentious? I really don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, whatever it is, I've dealt with it in both extremes, and my focus is my job as county judge, my priorities, and then, of course, working really hard for the Democrats in this 2026 election, because I think it's really about the future of democracy, the country's values, just what we want our children to see in terms of behavior and values from us, etc.
Will you be endorsing any of the candidates that have put their name in the race?
So the best way I have to explain my decision is, I ran for many reasons to help the community. I ran for this office not to try to, build a political future. And most importantly, I ran specifically against the idea of empires in Harris County, which has been how things are done. And to my disappointment, newer colleagues seem to be taking that same approach of just wanting to build an empire, and the definition of success being winning. So no, my sense is that I don't want to build an empire through somebody else that I then endorse. So I'm hoping that and confident that voters will choose the best candidate, and then once the primary is out in March, I will work very hard for the Democrat and the Democratic slate.
Talk to me a tiny bit, and we'll go back into some of your accomplishments, but I am curious. You have talked about how not just are you not seeking reelection, you are going to sit out at least this election cycle of another job. What does the future look like for you?
Look, the most direct way to answer it, even though it's not exciting, is I don't know. I can tell you for a fact that I want to remain involved in public service, and that's not a surprise. That is what I've done throughout my career. And then other than that, I started my campaign when I was 26. I think it makes sense for me to take a little bit of stock of what I've learned and figure out the very best way to approach what's next. My hope is that voters will accept me if I run, hopefully when I run for another office, because I've learned so much about being in office. I mean, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. Of course, I have more learning to do, but I don't want all of that resiliency that I've built to go to waste, so to speak. I feel like I got this, So it's not certainly for lack of energy or lack of enjoyment of the job. It is simply, I don't think that I need to have, or anybody needs to have, this job for 12 years. And I think that it'll benefit me also to just take a step back. So that's as best as I can answer it. But, I've got a year and a few months to figure it out.
Yeah.
Judge, speaking of learning, would you consider taking a teaching position? I know a lot of politicians do step into the college arena to teach others what they've learned.
Yeah, nothing's off the table. I think my primary message in terms of what's next is this is not a farewell announcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I still have a year plus left in my term. Second, even though I've been through, and we as a community have been through multiple tomes worth of challenges, I'm 34. I may not be 26 anymore, but I ain't 50 or 80. You know what I mean? And so I think that there's still a lot for me to learn. And I think that that's more of a, thinking back kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say that that's my aim, but I'm not going to discard it.
I'm just curious, the coalition that you have built, the goodwill that you have amassed, doesn't that benefit you to eventually endorse someone in this race to move the movement you have been working on? If you were to come across a candidate that wanted the same things you had wanted in this position, wouldn't it make political sense to help their campaign to continue the work you've done, or isn't that how you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, look, it would make political sense for me to run again. Like, I think people, we have a natural tendency to sort of to speculate about things. We want answers. So when we don't believe we have the right one, we'll go sort of make up our own. And so I can understand people being puzzled. Like, why would she do this? Why would she not endorse anyone? Like, it doesn't add up. It really doesn't. And it's because I mean, it's the same reason why, like, I didn't run for school board. Like, I remember when I first ran, people were like, well, why are you starting in this role? Like, why don't you work your way up? I'm like, because I'm not trying to be a politician. I am trying to do a job that I think can be a lot more impactful. And so anyway, it's the same thing. I'm trying to follow my values, my principles. I do believe that campaigning for the slate will convey that message ultimately, and I think people see the record that I have built, and certainly primary voters, if polls are anything to go by, believe in that approach. So, I mean, you raise a fair point, absolutely. I'm just I see it a little differently.
713-440-8870 is our phone number. Roberto from the Museum District is on the line for you. Roberto, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Ernie. I'm Hispanic, 76 years old. I'm planning to run as an independent for District 7 in Congress. But I'd like to tell you two things. You are a wonderful role model for us Hispanics, young and old. You are brilliant. You have a great future. And I really want to congratulate you and support you when you gave us your mental health issues. Celeste supported you in doing that. Others did not support that. They thought maybe that brought you down. But that took tremendous courage. So I want to congratulate you on doing that, and do keep up mental health. As you know, that's a big issue today. So you're very progressive, very contemporary. Do not burn your bridges. Please do not remain a Democrat. Just say you're independent, you're considering your options, and don't burn any bridges. Thank you so much.
Roberto, thank you for that. Judge, your reaction.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and congratulations on your candidacy. I think it's wonderful for folks to put their hat in the ring. And about, burning bridges and the way I identify myself, I mean, look, I will say one of the things that is frustrating, and you have to really learn to not take it to heart, and I have figured out how to do this, but it doesn't make it, joyful, is that people will mischaracterize you, right, as detractors. And so if you look at my record, it's very practical, very pragmatic. The issues we work on are not really political. And so the fact that for my reelection, my detractors had to create a new version of Lina Hidalgo in order to run against it. I mean, nothing that they ran in their ads was actually true. And so that is something that I totally agree. I'm like, I would love to be able to really convey that message of my focus being the community, very practical governing. But you know what? The nature of politics these days is that we are so divided that it's very easy for people to believe that I am at this extreme, right, when somebody else tells them that.
Just quickly on the mental health issue, any concerns, any second guessing on how you went public with it, or do you still stand behind that decision and how it played out?
I stand behind it 100%. Personally, it is a great relief to not have to hide that. It's very empowering. And on a professional level, it just warms my heart to continue to hear from people like the caller about, how grateful they are that I've done this. And oftentimes, people who say that my decision inspired them to take care. And I got there because of other people who had been public about their treatment. I'm aware that folks have tried to make this an attack people on both parties. They've tried, and it's nice that it doesn't really land, because I think whether we want to accept it or not, we all either know somebody who's dealing with or are personally dealing with these issues.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, Judge, what your proudest moment has been during your 2 terms, but perhaps maybe you just answered that question.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to choose one. I think that I've been really proud of us as a community, particularly during emergencies. I mean, to be sitting there in the emergency operations center and just knowing what everybody is going through, and just be in the middle of it and seeing people be so resilient and so dedicated to helping each other and so thoughtful. I mean, that just it brings me a lot of pride to be able to be a part of that and be in the position.
Judge, your phone line's a little wonky, so I hope you next time will come and join us here in studio and we can chat
oh
some
my
more.
gosh, I'm so sorry.
Judge
not to
Hidalgo, thank
worry.
you for joining us today on Hello Houston.